So, thanks for you all for coming. And today I'm Justin. I'll be running the first lectures for all 3D printer beginners. These lessons will be a really brief introductions to 3D printers, and it will introduce some most common errors that will happen when there's something wrong with the 3D printer itself. So we will have another two more lessons. One is the how you slice the your models. So all the troubleshootings will for slicing, it will be in that session. And the third one will be how to make up your own model in the Fusion 360, which is a free software. So today will be just the structural and functions in the 3D printer. So a quick introductions. Fashion3d is a Australian-based company that supplies Creality and Anycubic brand 3D printers. We have over 10 years of trading experience. And the purpose of these sessions is to help those people who wants to have a 3D printer but have only a little experience or non-experience. We are planning to run 3 lessons to help users understand what is 3D printer, how it works, and how to make something yourself and print it with our 3D printers. So 3D printings are used widely in 3D in the industrial design, manufacture, cosplay, and many other ways. So here is the model of the Creality Ender 3. I will be using this basic model to talk through how the 3D printer works and all the structures and things you should know before you start using the 3D printer. So I split the printer into 4 different parts. So the first one is the extruder kit, which have the most troubles, or is most likely to have some troubles with it when you use it. And the display and control panels, which is not having that much troubles, but we do have some kind of feedbacks. And the step motors. That is most related with the third part, which is the printer bed. So I'll talk them together. So the first one, extruder kit. The extruder kit is the most sensitive and complex part in the whole machine. It can be damaged very easily if user didn't set up the machine correctly. Extruder can usually include a nozzle, fan, a blower, heating system, and a temperature sensor. The temperature sensor and the heating system need extra care and need to be replaced after a period of time. I will show you guys a explosion view of the extruder kit, which is here. So I'll just zoom that a bit. So if you guys can see the explosion view, it's actually quite a complex structure. So the wheels will be running on the y-axis, x-axis. So that will be like running left and right. So I have a cover and the one fan, a fan which cools down the temperature of the heating block. So it has 2 heating blocks. One is here and one is here. That will heat up the filament as it runs through. And the blower is just cooling down the filament and the nozzle itself. So that's why I have 2. Sometimes there will be a third fan, which is for the stepper motor. So I'll show you guys that later. So I had a cross-section view of the nozzle of the extruder. So this is actually called a hot end. So it depends on if your printer is has a direct drive or not. So ender 3, it was extruding from a far end to this hot end, and then run the filaments through here and then print it on the bed. So there are some really basic names that you might need to know for this extruder. So the heating sink, which is this one here, the red part, and the throat tube, which is kind of easily been damaged if you didn't set up your printer correctly, and also the nozzle. So if something wrong, if you get like a block nozzle, most likely you need to change those two parts. And the glass bed is just the bed. So the bed leveling. The bed leveling is the most common or the most frequently asked questions. If you don't get your bed leveled, then it's really unlikely to get a really good result. So as you can see here, the first one was way too high. I will have a few kind of like a troubleshooting images for you guys, just to say how those three can be look like after you have a few prints. So the first one was way too high. You can see that will be roughly about 1 to 2 millimeters above the printing bed. And the second one is just correct, which you can just slide A4 paper through, and you don't want any marks been leaving by the on the paper by the nozzle. So you can just slide the paper through. You can feel a little bit of frictions, but you cannot leave a mark on the paper. Otherwise, it will be the third situation, which is you having the nozzle too close to the bed. So the the reason why we need to level the bed correctly is the blue line was the filament. It runs through the throat and to the nozzle, and print a perfect line on the bed if you set up correctly. And otherwise, if your nozzle is too close, I'll just zoom that a bit more. So if you have the filament run through it, but your nozzle is too close to the printing bed, it will ends up like squeeze the filament onto the bed, and you will have a leaky nozzle, which means so all the filaments will be filling up all the gaps in between, and will start to come out from the side of the nozzle. So in that case, you will definitely have a block nozzle, and it's most likely because you didn't put your bed into the correct position. Let's move to the next one. To here, that's how the nozzle look like. Most printers on the market, they have the similar nozzle. The shape can be a little bit different, but overall it's pretty much the same. So this hole here will have a heating rod. So that's the part which heat up the whole thing. And also see this screw here and these little holes here. Usually here will be the temperature sensor. So after the metal rod heat up the whole hot end, the sensor will send the signal to the motherboard and say what temperature it reached. So in your display screen, at your display screen, you should have this, which the top part is the temperature you are aiming for, and the bottom part is the your current temperature. But if you have your temperature as a negative number or a really high number, which is above 300 degrees, then one of the sensor should be broken. So you might need to get a new sensor or send it to us asking for a replacement. And so how it moves. So it's using a belt and also a step motor and a gear to move these left and right. it's really important to always tension your belts, put some tension on your belts. Otherwise, your print will be looking like this. So the first one is some prints we are looking for is it's really like cubic, and it's kind of like layer by layers. And the second one, as you can see, is shifting towards one side, which means you might have a loose belt. So in that case, when your printing head is moving to the right, every time it doesn't stop where it should be. It's shifting to the right a little bit at a time. So at the very top, you will see that like the whole thing was leaning towards the right hand side. So how to make it tight? Under 3, it doesn't have a tensioner, so you have to undo those two screws. Let me just zoom in a bit. So I have these two little screws on the side. You have to lose those two screws and then push this part to the right hand side in order to tension it. But on all the other machines, you don't really need to do that. If this is only for someone who brought the Ender 3 or Ender 3 Pro, all other machine will either have a manual tensioner or it will be already being adjusted to the perfect position. And, so here are some examples. This image was I was downloaded from the website, and so if you are looking for some good quality print, that should be looking like that. And if you have a really this is only for when you have a really bad quality filament. So not only the machine can change the quality of the print, if you brought some really bad quality filament, it can also result a bad results as well. So before we brought some, or some of our customer brought some filament from one of the supplier, which I can't really name it here. So their filament was like that. So as you can see, this one was all the same, so it has the same thickness, but this one was, a bit thicker here and thinner here. So what that can cause was it will have something like that, or it's more easily to cause a block nozzle, because if you have like a really large amount of filament being squeezed into the nozzle, it will cause a lot of troubles. And here, this one, that was the if you have a clogging problem. So when you hear the your step motor was clicking like a clock, so that's when you have a blocked nozzle, and your results will be end up like that. So in this case, you need to printer bed up. Sorry, you need to raise your nozzle up a little bit, and or otherwise you need to lower your printer bed. So I will talk through that in the next section. And for support, some of our customer said we have some really bad qualities at the underside, which when they add supports. So there are a few solutions for that. One is you don't have these, really sharp angles, or you can change a few settings in Cura, which will be covered in the next lessons. But that's the quality you should be looking for in your first few prints, or if your machine is not having any problems.